In the heart of Jefferson City, Missouri, where the Missouri River winds lazily through the rolling hills, Logan Mercer stood in the glow of a late August afternoon in 2012. The hum of machinery at the local steel mill a comforting soundtrack to his life as a skilled welder. The scent of molten metal and engine oil as familiar as the breeze rustling through the sycamore trees lining the riverbank. Logan, with his broad shoulders and calloused hands, had grown up in this blue-collar town, the son of a welder who'd spent decades at the mill, teaching Logan the art of shaping steel as if it were a living thing, a craft that felt like a sacred inheritance passed down through sweat and sparks, the mill's towering smokestacks, a monument to the legacy he carried. The river's gentle flow, a reminder of the steady life he'd built in a place where everyone knew your name, where Friday nights meant barbecue at the local VFW hall and Sundays meant fishing on the river with a cooler of Busch Light. Logan loved Jefferson City, not for its grandeur, for it had none, but for its grit, its honesty, the way the sun set over the Capitol dome casting a golden glow on the humble streets. A town where a man could build a life with nothing but hard work and a good heart. A life he'd dreamed of since he was a boy watching his father's steady hands at work. The mill's whistle a daily hymn to labor and love. What made Logan's life feel complete, though, wasn't just the mill or the river. It was Sarah Bennett, his high school sweetheart, with her hazel eyes that sparkled like the morning dew on the river, her chestnut hair always tied back in a loose braid, and a laugh that could make even the hardest days at the mill fade away. A laugh that had captured his heart at 16 during a homecoming game under the stadium lights. Her cheerleader uniform a blur of maroon and gold as she'd waved to him from the sidelines, his Letterman jacket soon draped over her shoulders, a promise of forever sealed with a first kiss by the bonfire that night. They'd married right after graduation, against the advice of friends who warned that young love rarely lasted. But Logan had no doubts. When you know, and he knew Sarah was his light, his reason, the one he'd build a future for, working overtime at the mill, taking on dangerous jobs like welding on bridge repairs over the river. The paychecks he sent to fund her paralegal studies at Lincoln University a labor of love, each dollar a brick in the foundation of their dreams. Her graduation day, a moment of pride as her family hugged him, calling him their rock. The Jefferson City sun shining down on a life that felt as solid as the steel he forged. A life, he believed, would last forever. The river flowing on as a witness to their shared joy, unaware of the storm that would soon shatter it all. The crisp fall air of Jefferson City, Missouri, carried the scent of burning leaves and the distant hum of the steel mill as Logan Mercer returned home each evening in the autumn of 2014, his work boots heavy with the day's grit, his flannel shirt dusted with metal shavings, the Missouri River reflecting the amber glow of streetlights along the riverfront, a sight that once brought him peace, but now felt tinged with an unease he couldn't name. The mill's whistle fading into the background as he stepped into the small craftsman home he shared with Sarah Bennett, the woman he'd built his life around. Her paralegal certificate now framed on the wall above their second-hand couch, a symbol of the dreams they'd chased together. The kitchen table often set with a pot of chili or cornbread, a tradition from their early days of marriage. The warmth of their shared laughter, a memory that felt increasingly distant. The river, outside their window, flowing on as if nothing had changed, but Logan could feel the shift, subtle at first, like a crack in a steel beam that starts small but threatens to split wide open. The Jefferson City nights growing colder in more ways than one. The sycamore trees along the riverbank whispering secrets he wasn't ready to hear. The mill's steady rhythm no longer enough to drown out the doubts creeping into his heart. Sarah had started her job at Carver & Dunn, a law firm downtown near the Capitol, and with it came changes Logan tried to dismiss as part of her new world. She began wearing sharper outfits, pencil skirts, and blouses that hugged her figure, her chestnut hair now styled in sleek waves instead of the loose braid he loved, her hazel eyes bright with a new kind of confidence as she dabbed on stronger perfumes, scents of jasmine and amber that lingered in the house long after she left for work. Her laughter more frequent but not for him, her phone buzzing with texts. She'd answer with a smile she quickly hid, her excuses piling up like leaves in the yard. "I'm swamped with case files," she'd say when he called during her lunch break, her voice clipped. Or, "I'm in a meeting," when he tried. To reach her after hours, her Wednesday nights now claimed by girls' nights with her colleagues, outings at trendy spots like the Blue Note or Last Call Lounge, places Logan had never been, places that felt as foreign as the woman she was becoming. Her returns, home stretching later, 2 a.m., then 3 a.m., her explanations thin. We grabbed food after the bar, or a friend's car broke down, or the Uber got stuck in traffic. Excuses that sounded rehearsed, her hazel eyes avoiding his. As she slipped into bed, the space between them growing wider than the Missouri River itself, Logan lying awake staring at the ceiling, the glow of the Capitol dome through their window, a mocking reminder of the dreams they'd once shared. The chili on the stove cold. By the time she came home, his heart heavy with a doubt he couldn't shake. The Jefferson City fall a season of change he hadn't signed up for. The river's flow, a quiet witness to the unraveling of the life he thought he knew. The late fall chill of Jefferson City, Missouri, settled over the town in November 2014. The Missouri River shimmering under the pale glow of a crescent moon as Logan Mercer sat in his pickup truck outside their Craftsman home. The steel mill's distant hum, a faint echo in the night, his flannel shirt still dusted with the day's metal shavings, his calloused hands gripping the steering wheel. His brown eyes clouded with a growing unease that had taken root like rust on steel. The sycamore trees along the riverbank swaying in the wind, their bare branches casting jagged shadows on the street. The Capitol dome's silhouette a looming reminder of the dreams he'd once held so dear. Dreams that now felt as fragile as the frost on the ground. The air thick with the scent of wood smoke and the weight of doubt. The mill's whistle long silent, but the rhythm of his heart pounding with a suspicion he could no longer ignore. The Jefferson City night, a canvas of uncertainty. The river's flow, a quiet witness to the storm brewing in his soul. A storm that would soon break with a truth he wasn't ready to face, but one he could no longer avoid. The glow of his phone screen, a beacon of the betrayal he feared. The sycamores whispering warnings he wished he'd heeded sooner. The mill's legacy of hard work, no match for the cracks forming in his marriage. Logan's doubts had grown too heavy to dismiss when a buddy from the mill, Jake, called him during a late shift, his voice low over the crackle of the phone line. "I saw Sarah at the Grand Cafe downtown, man. Thought you should know. She was with some suit," his arm around her waist, laughing like they were on a date. The words a punch to Logan's gut, his mind racing as he forced a laugh. "Probably just a co-worker, Jake. You know how those law firm folks are?" But the image burned into his thoughts. Sarah's hazel eyes bright for someone else, her chestnut hair catching the light in a place he'd never been, a place he couldn't afford on a welder's pay, the kind of upscale spot where the Capitol crowd sipped martinis, not Busch Light, the kind of place that felt like a different world, one she was slipping into without him. The river outside his truck window reflecting his fractured thoughts. The frost on the windshield, a mirror to the coldness in his chest. The mill's smokestacks a distant shadow as he made a decision he never thought he'd make. Downloading a tracking app on his phone, linking it to Sarah's device, not to control her but to know, to confirm, to quiet the storm in his mind. Or so he told himself. The app's icon, a silent judge, as he watched her location one Friday night, the dot blinking at the high note. A swanky bar near the Capitol known for its lawyer clientele, a place where deals were made over whiskey sours, a place Logan didn't belong. His boots heavy as he drove the 20 miles into downtown, still in his dusty protective gear. The river's flow, a steady hum beneath the bridge as he crossed into her world. The Jefferson City lights a harsh glare on the truth he was about to uncover. The sycamores along the riverbank, a silent chorus to his unraveling. The mill's lessons of grit and loyalty, no shield against the betrayal he feared awaited him. The neon glow of the High Note Bar in downtown Jefferson City, Missouri, cast a harsh light on the polished wood floors as Logan Mercer pushed through the heavy glass doors on that chilly November night in 2014. The Missouri River, a dark ribbon. Beyond the Capitol's shadow, the air inside thick with the scent of whiskey and expensive cologne, a far cry from the steel mill's familiar tang of molten metal and sweat. his work boots leaving faint traces of dust on the floor. His flannel, shirt and protective gear a stark contrast to the tailored suits and sleek dresses of the bar's patrons, lawyers and lobbyists sipping martinis and craft cocktails. Their laughter a sharp edge against the jazz playing softly through the speakers. The sycamore trees outside the window barely visible in the dark. Their branches a silent witness to the storm brewing in Logan's chest, his brown eyes scanning the room until they landed on Sarah Bennett, his wife, sitting at a high-top table near the bar, her chestnut hair catching the light, her hazel eyes bright with a smile he hadn't seen in months. A smile not meant for him, but for the man beside her. A tall figure in a charcoal suit, his hand resting casually on her thigh, her wedding ring absent from her finger. The sight, a sledgehammer to Logan's heart. The river's distant flow, a faint echo of the life they'd built. The Capitol dome through the window a cruel reminder of the dreams he thought they shared. The mill's lessons of loyalty and grit, no shield against the betrayal unfolding before him. Logan approached the table with a calm he didn't feel, his voice steady as he said, "Not going to introduce me, Sarah?" The words cutting through the hum of conversation, the atmosphere at the table freezing as Sarah turned, her hazel eyes wide with shock, a flicker of fear passing through them, the man beside her pulling his hand back, his sharp blue eyes narrowing with annoyance, as if Logan were a stray dog interrupting a fine meal. The others at the table, a mix of polished professionals, exchanging glances, their smiles thin, knowing, the kind that hid secrets Logan wasn't privy to, a woman with sleek blonde hair and a pearl necklace raising her glass, her voice dripping with mockery. "So this is the welder we've heard so much about. I'm Claire Donovan, Sarah's mentor at Carver & Dunn," her tone predatory, her gaze raking over Logan like he was a specimen, not a man, adding, "Sarah's been broadening her horizons, professionally and otherwise." The words a knife, twisting deeper as Sarah stammered, "This is Logan, my husband," her voice barely a whisper, her fingers fumbling with her glass. "I didn't wear my ring because I was afraid of losing it," the excuse hollow, the man beside her extending a hand. Travis Carver, Sarah's colleague, his grip firm, a challenge. Logan matching it with a squeeze that said he wasn't intimidated, sitting down in the chair Travis had vacated, ordering a bush light, the table's tension like a taut wire, Claire smirking. "A man like you must be skilled with a torch, Logan. But maybe too traditional for a woman like Sarah. She needs more than a welder's life." Her words a taunt. Sarah's silence, a betrayal louder than any confession, her hazel eyes avoiding his. The jazz in the background a cruel serenade to the end of everything Logan thought he knew. The Jefferson City night outside a cold witness to the fracture of his world. The river flowing on, indifferent to his pain. The drive back from the High Note Bar in downtown Jefferson City, Missouri, on that frigid November night in 2014, felt like a descent into a void for Logan Mercer. The Missouri River, a dark mirror reflecting the shattered pieces of his heart. As he gripped the steering wheel of his pickup truck, the Capitol dome fading in the rearview mirror, its golden glow a cruel mockery of the dreams he'd once held with Sarah Bennett, the woman he'd loved since high school, the woman whose betrayal he'd just witnessed, her hazel eyes avoiding his at the bar, her wedding ring absent. Travis Carver's hand on her thigh, a wound that bled deeper than any torch burn at the steel mill. The sycamore trees along the riverbank swaying in the wind, their bare branches clawing at the sky. The mill's distant hum a faint echo of the life he thought he knew. The air heavy with the scent of frost and betrayal. The Jefferson City streets silent as he pulled into their craftsman home, the porch light flickering like his fading hope. The river's flow a steady rhythm that couldn't drown out the storm in his chest. A storm that demanded answers, the kind of answers that would either save his marriage or bury it. The mill's lessons of grit and loyalty, now a fragile shield, against the truth he was about to uncover. The night a cold witness to the unraveling of his world. The sycamores whispering a truth he could no longer ignore. Inside their home, the warmth of the living room felt hollow as Sarah collapsed onto the couch, her chestnut hair falling loose, her hazel eyes brimming with tears, mascara streaking down her cheeks as she sobbed. It's not what you think. Logan, her voice cracking. But Logan stood by the kitchen counter, his flannel shirt still dusted with metal shavings, his brown eyes hard, his voice low. Then what is it, Sarah? Your lover? Your boss? Both? Cutting through her excuses, his patience worn thin, the chili pot on the stove cold, a relic of the life they'd shared, her silence a confession until she whispered, Travis is a partner at Carver and Dunn. We've been seeing each other for 2 months, the words a sledgehammer, confirming what Logan had feared, his world tilting as he sat on the wooden stool he'd built when they first moved in, his hands trembling. Help me understand, he said, his voice steady despite the fire in his chest. And what Sarah revealed next turned his blood to ice. Carver and Dunn wasn't just a law firm, it was a machine, a cult-like network where young associates were groomed, senior partners like Travis and Claire Donovan handpicking talent, offering mentorship with a price. Sarah's voice shaking as she explained, They expect you to integrate fully. Travis made it clear my career depends on more than just work. They have photos, recordings, dirt on everyone. If you don't play their game, they blacklist you from every firm in Missouri. Her hazel eyes pleading. I was afraid, Logan, afraid of losing everything we worked for, your sacrifices for, my education. But Logan's jaw clenched, the betrayal cutting deeper than her tears, his mind racing as he said, Show me everything, every text, every email. I want to know what we're dealing with. The river outside their window, flowing on, indifferent to the darkness unfolding within. The Capitol dome, a distant shadow. As Logan realized this wasn't just about their marriage, it was about a system designed to break people. A system he'd fight to expose. The Jefferson City night, a cold witness to the fire igniting in his heart. A fire that would either save them or burn it all down. The air inside the Craftsman home in Jefferson City, Missouri, felt suffocating on that late November night in 2014. The Missouri River a dark expanse beyond the window, its steady flow a cruel contrast to the chaos unfolding within as Logan. Mercer stood in the kitchen, his flannel shirt still dusted with metal shavings from the steel mill, his brown eyes burning with a mix of betrayal and resolve after Sarah Bennett's confession about her affair with Travis Carver and the cult-like grip of Carver and Dunn, the law firm that had ensnared her, the sycamore trees outside swaying in, the wind, their bare branches scraping against the glass like fingers of a ghost, the Capitol dome's faint glow, a distant reminder of the dreams they'd once shared. Dreams now shattered by her tears and excuses. The chili pot on the stove a cold relic of their past. The river's rhythm unable to drown out the storm in. Logan's chest, a storm that demanded justice. The mill's lessons of grit and loyalty, now a flickering flame against the darkness he was about to face. The Jefferson City night, a cold witness to the descent of his world into hell. The sycamores whispering a warning of the horror that awaited. A horror that would test the limits of his endurance. The kind of horror that would either break him or forge him into something new. The kind of horror that began with a dinner he never saw coming. Sarah had insisted on cooking that night. Her hazel eyes softer than they'd been in weeks. Her chestnut hair pulled back in the loose braid Logan had always loved, wearing the navy dress he'd once called her River Blue, a dress that hugged her frame, her wedding ring back on her finger, a gesture that felt like a cruel mockery after her confession. The table set with beef and cheddar lasagna, Logan's favorite, a bottle of red wine opened, the kind they'd shared on their anniversary. Her smile forced as she said, Let's just eat, Logan. We can figure this out. Her voice a tease, but something in her tone felt off. Her eyes darting to the side. The warmth of the kitchen, a facade as Logan sat down, his stomach churning with unease. The lasagna's aroma mixing with the scent of her jasmine perfume. A scent that now felt like a stranger's. The meal tasting bitter as he took a sip of the wine, his vision blurring. Within minutes, his head spinning, his legs refusing to hold him as he tried to stand. Collapsing to the floor, the last thing he saw Sarah's hazel eyes, cold and distant, before darkness swallowed him, waking hours later to a nightmare. tied to a chair in their bedroom, his hands and feet bound with zip ties, a strange metal device clamped around his groin, the room lit with harsh lights, a makeshift film set. Sarah entering with Claire Donovan, her mentor, holding a camera, her voice icy. "I need you to see this, Logan, so you know I don't belong to you anymore." Travis Carver and another man stepping in, their laughter ablaze as Sarah undressed, performing acts with Travis while looking at Logan. Claire filming, whispering, "Most men secretly want this, they just won't admit it." Travis spitting on Logan's boots. "You don't deserve her. Keep quiet, or you're the next suicide." The humiliation of fire that burned hotter than any torch at the mill. The river outside flowing on, indifferent to the hell within. The Jefferson City, night a witness to the crime that would fuel Logan's vengeance. A vengeance that would either destroy him or set him free. The Craftsman home in Jefferson City, Missouri, stood silent in the early hours of that November night in 2014. The Missouri River, a dark ribbon beyond the window, its steady flow a cruel contrast to the hell Logan Mercer had just endured. His wrists raw from the zip ties that had bound him to a chair in their bedroom, the strange metal device they'd clamped on him now discarded on the floor, the harsh lights of the makeshift film set still burning, the echoes of Sarah Bennett's betrayal with Travis Carver and another man searing his mind, Claire Donovan's mocking laughter and Travis's threat. "You're the next suicide if you talk." A fire in his chest hotter than any torch at the steel mill, the sycamore trees outside scraping against the glass, their bare branches, a ghostly witness to the crime. The Capitol dome's faint glow, a distant mockery of the life he'd built. The river's rhythm unable to drown out the rage in his heart, a rage that demanded justice. The mill's lessons of grit and loyalty now a steel core driving him to survive, to fight. The Jefferson City night, a cold witness to the moment he became a hunter. The sycamores whispering a promise of vengeance, a promise that would either destroy him or set him free. The kind of promise forged in the crucible of betrayal, the kind that began with a desperate escape and a plan to turn the tables on those who thought they'd broken him. The kind that would make them pay for every second of his humiliation. The river flowing on, indifferent to the storm now raging within him. Logan's years at the mill had taught him resilience, and he used every ounce of that strength to twist his wrists against the zip ties, the plastic cutting into his skin, blood trickling down his hands as he worked, the drug they'd given, him wearing off, leaving a pounding headache but a clearer mind, the sound of their laughter drifting up from the kitchen below. Sarah, Travis, Claire, and the other man, toasting with what Logan knew was his bottle of Jack Daniels, celebrating their victory, their voices a taunt as Travis said, "We've got him on film now. If he steps out of line, we release it. His reputation's done, and Sarah's one of us." The words, a chilling confirmation of their plan, a plan to control him through shame, to make him a pawn in their twisted game. But Logan wasn't done. His jaw working against the gag until it loosened, his hands finally slipping free, the zip ties snapping as he untied his legs. Removing the gag and the device, his first instinct to charge downstairs, to confront them. But he stopped, his mind racing with a colder clarity, knowing that would play into their hands. Instead, moving silently to the closet, pulling out the small safe hidden behind his work boots, inside his father's old .45 pistol, a family heirloom, and a digital recorder he used for job notes, slipping the recorder into his pocket, switching it on, then creeping to the bedroom door, listening. As they planned their next moves, Claire's voice sharp. "We've got others to break in, new associates who need to learn their place," the words revealing a network of corruption far beyond his marriage, a network he'd expose. Climbing out the window onto the roof, the cold shingles biting into his hands as he sat under the stars. The river below, a dark mirror to his resolve. Reporting everything to the police the next morning. The zip tie marks still fresh. Meeting with a federal prosecutor named Rachel Harper, a woman who listened with a sharpness that gave him hope. The Jefferson City dawn a new beginning. The sycamores a silent chorus to his vow. He'd dismantle their world, piece by piece, the mill's fire now burning in his veins, a fire that would either consume him or light the way to justice. The dawn broke over Jefferson City, Missouri, on a gray November morning in 2014. The Missouri River a steel ribbon under the overcast sky as Logan Mercer drove north in his pickup truck, leaving behind the craftsman home where Sarah Bennett had betrayed him, the steel mill's smokestacks fading in the distance, their hum replaced by the roar of the engine and the weight of his resolve, his flannel shirt stained with the blood from his raw wrists. The zip tie marks a reminder of the hell he'd escaped, the Capitol Dome a shrinking silhouette in his rearview mirror. The sycamore trees along the riverbank now a memory of the life he'd left behind. His brown eyes hard with purpose as he headed toward the Ozark foothills, to a remote cabin owned by his father's old friend, Hank Rowland, a place where cell signals were weak and neighbors were scarce, the kind of place where a man could disappear, the kind of place where Logan could plan his next move. The river's flow a distant echo as he crossed into the rolling hills, the air crisp with the scent of pine and the promise of survival. The Jefferson City he'd known now a battlefield he'd return to, but not yet. Not until he was ready. The mill's lessons of grit and loyalty, now a fire in his veins, a fire that would either forge him into a weapon or consume him entirely. The Ozarks a sanctuary and a crucible. The dawn a new chapter in his fight for justice, a fight that would test every ounce of his strength. The kind of fight that began with allies he never expected to find. Hank's cabin sat nestled in a valley near Lake of the Ozarks, its weathered logs blending into the pine forest. The lake's glassy surface reflecting the grey sky as Logan arrived, his truck kicking up gravel on the narrow drive, Hank greeting him with a firm handshake, his weathered face etched with concern. "You look like hell, son," he said, ushering Logan inside. The cabin's interior sparse but warm, a wood stove crackling in the corner, the scent of cedar and coffee filling the air. And there Logan met Hank's sister, Ellie Rowland, a woman transformed from the shy girl he'd known in high school, her dark hair now long and wild, her green eyes sharp with a survivor's edge, her compact frame toughened by years in the wilderness, a rifle slung over her shoulder, her voice steady. "You're safe here, Logan. But you need to learn to move like a ghost if you're gonna survive this." Her words a lifeline as she taught him to navigate the forest, to walk on pine needles without a sound, to read tracks in the mud, to spot signs of intruders, the lake's stillness a mirror to the calm she brought him. Hank helping in his own way, a former Marine-turned-mechanic, his connections reaching into circles Logan never knew existed, bringing in a private investigator named Marcus Tate, a grizzled man who'd been ousted from the Jefferson City Police for digging too deep. Marcus spreading papers across the cabin's table one night, his voice low. Carver and Dunn is a front for something called the Pinnacle Network, a group that recruits young talent, isolates them, breaks them through compromise. They've got symbols, pins, jewelry at every gala and fundraiser. They're in politics, law, business. The revelation a cold weight in Logan's chest. Sarah's betrayal now part of a larger machine, a machine he'd dismantle. The Ozark Hills a fortress where he rebuilt his strength. The lake a quiet witness to the alliance forming, an alliance that would either bring down an empire or bury them all. The dawn over the lake a promise of the fight to come. The mills, fire now burning brighter in Logan's heart, a fire that would light the way to justice, no matter the cost. The dense pine forest of the Ozark foothills near Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, stood silent under a heavy grey sky in late November 2014. The lake's glassy surface reflecting the tension in the air as Logan Mercer worked on a shed hinge behind Hank Rowland's cabin, the scent of damp earth and pine needles sharp in his nose. His flannel shirt rolled up to his elbows, his brown eyes scanning the tree line with the instincts Ellie Rowland had taught him. The skills of a ghost in the woods, his hands steady, despite the weight of the .45 pistol tucked into his waistband. The cabin's wood stove smoke curling into the sky, a faint signal of the sanctuary he'd found, the Missouri River. A distant memory as he prepared for the fight he knew was coming, the Pinnacle Network's shadow looming larger with every piece of evidence Marcus Tate uncovered. The mill's lessons of grit and loyalty now a fire in his veins. A fire that had kept him alive through Sarah Bennett's betrayal, through the humiliation at Carver and Dunn's hands. The kind of fire that burned brightest in the face of danger. The kind that would be tested as the sound of an unfamiliar engine broke the forest's stillness. A black SUV emerging from the dirt road. Travis Carver stepping out with a gun in hand, his sharp blue eyes filled with hatred. Sarah, Claire Donovan, and a hired thug at his side, their voices a venomous chorus as they cornered Logan, the lake, a cold witness to the showdown that would either end him or set him free. The Ozark Hills a battleground where justice would be forged in blood. The dawn a distant hope as the fight for his life began. Travis barked, "No need to run, Mercer. You're done." His gun trained on Logan as they bound his hands with rope, shoving him into the SUV. Sarah's hazel eyes cold as she smirked. "You thought you could run forever. I gave you a chance, but you wanted to drag me down, so we'll go to hell together." Her words a dagger as they drove to a dried-up creek bed deep in the forest, the soft soil perfect for a shallow grave. Claire whispering in Logan's ear, "We'll stage a hunting accident. No one will find you." Her voice a hiss as Travis began a final act of dominance, forcing Sarah to perform in front of Logan one last time, his grin a sick victory. Sarah's whispers taunting as she looked at Logan, the humiliation a fire that turned his heart to stone, his brown eyes closing not in fear, but in resolve. Travis stepping forward with a hunting knife, its blade gleaming. "This'll be quick, Mercer," raising it above Logan's head. But a gunshot shattered the air, Travis collapsing with a bullet through his forehead, blood spraying, the thug falling next with a shot to the chest, Claire screaming as a bullet grazed her arm, tumbling back. And there on the ridge stood Ellie Rowland, her dark hair whipping in the wind, her green eyes sharp as a hawk, her hunting rifle steady, rushing down to cut Logan's ropes with a knife, turning to Sarah, cowering under a pine. "Touch him again, and you're next." Faster than Travis, smashing the rifle butt into Sarah's face, a crack echoing as blood poured, her cheekbones shattered, Ellie firing a flare into the sky, sirens soon wailing through the forest, police and federal prosecutor Rachel Harper arriving, cuffing Sarah and Claire, the lake reflecting the red and blue lights as justice began to take hold. Logan standing silent, watching as Ellie's hand found his, her presence a lifeline, the Ozark dawn breaking through the clouds, a promise that the nightmare was ending. The mill's fire in Logan's heart now a beacon of survival, a beacon that had led him through hell to this moment of reckoning. By the spring of 2016, the Ozark foothills near Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, had become a sanctuary of renewal for Logan Mercer. The dense pine forest now a backdrop to a life rebuilt from the ashes of betrayal, the lake's glassy surface reflecting the golden hues of a late April sunrise, its gentle ripples a far cry from the Missouri River's distant memory of Jefferson City, where Sarah Bennett's betrayal with Carver and Dunn had once shattered him. The steel mill's hum replaced by the rhythmic clanging of hammers at Ozark Custom Welding, a small shop Logan had opened with Hank Rowland, its weathered sign swinging in the breeze outside a converted barn, the scent of molten metal and pine, a new kind of home, the sycamore trees of his past life, a fading shadow as he stood on the cabin's porch, a mug of black coffee in his calloused hands, his flannel shirt rolled up to his elbows, his brown eyes softened by a peace he'd fought for. The Capitol Dome of Jefferson City, a distant nightmare. The Pinnacle Network's collapse a hard won. Victory after Sarah and Claire Donovan were sentenced to life without parole. Travis Carver's death a closed chapter. The mill's lessons of grit and loyalty, now a foundation for a future he'd never imagined. The Ozark Hills a testament to his survival. The lake a mirror to the light he'd found in the darkness. A light that began with Ellie Rowland, the woman who'd saved him. The woman who now stood beside him as his wife, their daughter, Grace, a bundle of joy in her arms. The dawn, a promise of a life forged in love. A life that had risen from the ruins of his past. Logan's new life in the Ozarks was a tapestry of hard work and healing. Ozark Custom Welding thrived, crafting custom railings and gates for local farms and historical restorations. The shop's barn doors always open to the community, where neighbors shared stories over cans of Busch Light, the lake's edge a gathering spot for summer barbecues, Ellie's laughter a melody that drowned out the echoes of Sarah's cruelty, her green eyes bright with a love that had pulled Logan from the abyss, their wedding a quiet affair under a pine grove. Just a handful of friends and family. Logan giving Ellie a ring he'd welded himself, a simple band of steel etched with a tiny sycamore leaf, a symbol of the past he'd overcome. Grace's birth a year later, a moment of pure light, her hazel eyes, inherited from Logan, a reminder of the strength in his blood, her giggles filling the cabin as they sat on a porch swing, the lake reflecting the sunset's glow, Hank expanding the business with 2 new welders, the shop's success, a testament to Logan's resilience. Rachel Harper's occasional calls bringing news of the Pinnacle Network's unraveling, more arrests across Missouri, Logan's testimony a cornerstone in the federal case, the compensation from his divorce and the network's assets enough to secure their future. The cabin a gift from his parents, a place of peace with no trace of Sarah, just the wind through the pines. Ellie's smile each morning a victory over the darkness, the Ozark dawn a canvas for a life reborn, the mill's fire in Logan's heart now a steady flame, a flame that lit the way to a happiness he'd earned. A happiness that proved he was no longer a victim, but a survivor. A man who'd found love and purpose in the hills. A man who'd won. The lake, a quiet witness to his triumph. The sycamores of Jefferson City, a distant memory, replaced by the pines of a new beginning.